Hey everyone, so I hope that you've had the opportunity to get together the ingredients that you need to be able to participate in this Maundy Thursday service together. And one of the reasons we're doing this is that you can engage with this at home. As Jesus sat down with his disciples to celebrate the Passover, he did so not by himself, obviously, but with the other disciples. And they just gathered together there in the upper room in a smaller kind of a family setting. And that's often how the Passover was celebrated. There was basically just the family together. Different people had different roles. So there's a leader and there's also a role for the youngest person that's at the table. And you'll see this in the information that we sent out below. If you didn't get that, you can see it in the previous video, which I'll link up here, or there's also in the description down below, there'll be a description for the ingredients for this as well as for the service that will ask you to follow through. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what this might look like and how we're engaging with this with the disciples and with Jesus before we let you go and have your own meal. So after you watch this, and no matter when you watch this, I encourage you to watch it with your whole family, maybe right before you sit down together and go through the meal. And there's a liturgy or a kind of an order of the way that you might go through this in the sheet that we sent out, and you can follow that along. And hopefully this will be something that will give you a little insight into what's going on in the Passover meal. So this comes from Mark chapter 14. We see Jesus and the disciples getting into a time that's again, a little bit of a distressing moment. As Jesus sits down with his disciples at this meal, the words and phrasing starts to turn a little bit dark, right? Jesus starts to talk about how the cup that they're sharing is a sharing in their blood, and that he wants them to drink of it, and that the bread that they share is a sharing in his body, and he wants them to eat of it. It's a little bit dark in some ways. It's foreshadowing, of course, what's coming really quickly. And Jesus is sitting there at the table with his disciples, including Judas, at the time in which we kind of get this institution of the supper. When evening came, Jesus arrived with the 12. This is Mark chapter 14, verse 17. And while they're reclining at the table eating, he says, "Truly I tell you, one of you who is eating with me is going to betray me." They're saddened, and one by one they said to him, "Surely you don't mean me." "It is one of the 12, Jesus replied, "one who dips bread into the bowl with me. The Son of Man will go out just as it is written about him, but woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It'd be better for him if he had not been born." And while they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it. The table's not big enough for me. When he had given thanks, he broke it. And he gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take, eat it. This is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and he said, "Take, drink. This is my blood of the new covenant. Drink it, a participation in my blood." "Truly I tell you," Jesus says, "I will not drink again from the fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it anew in the kingdom of God." Now, many of us know these words and these phrases from the Lord's Supper or from the Eucharist when we participate in it. But it comes from the ceremony that they had together in the Passover. And so hopefully as you go through this service together or go through this ritual, you'll be able to see what was signified by the bread and by the cup that Jesus took and not only extended from what had happened during the Passover, but he applied them to himself, claiming himself to be the Passover lamb whose blood covers the doorposts of the universe, so to speak, so that we can all then be free and not suffer the consequences of our own sin. So I'd encourage you to take your time, walk through the liturgy, enjoy this meal. Don't see it necessarily as a ritual that has to go through perfectly, but as a time to enjoy together, to remember God's actions in the past, both the way that he brought the Israelites out of Egypt during the Passover, but also more specifically the way that Jesus offers himself as the lamb to set us free from the tyranny of the devil. So enjoy.